now let's take a look at number 36 together. Number 36 is a pretty in-depth one. We're going to do what I call 3 steps. We're going to use ver, piv, and the definition of power to solve one puzzle at one time. It's a 3-stepper. Step 1. Well, let's read the equation. Step 0, read the equation. An electric iron draws a current of 5 amperes or 5 amps and has a resistance of 20 ohms. The amount of energy used by the iron in 40 seconds is, so maybe it's an iron. You're ironing your clothes, flattening them out, and we're saying, okay, we're going to have 5 amps. Well, that is our current, capital I above that. We have a resistance R of 20 ohms. I've written that there. The amount of energy used is the delta E, the change in energy, and 40 seconds is our delta T, our change in time. Now, we have I, R, delta T, delta E, and none of those are in one equation together, but I times R will give us V in ver. So let's play around with that and see what we can do once we have the voltage drop happening over the iron. And so V is equal to I times R, and I'll go ahead and substitute in 5 capital A amperes for current, for I, and then 20 omega ohms, omega for R, and then we're going to have a voltage drop of 5 times 20, which is 100 volts. Now I have the 100 volts. I can use that to find the power that the iron is using. And so let's do that in orange. And so step 2, let's find the power equals I, which is still the 5 amps. The voltage I now know from my earlier work to be 100 volts. And our power will be 5 times 100, which will be big old 500. So we'll have 500, and the unit for power is the watt. Remember our physicist joke? We say, hey, watt's the unit for power? And the physicist says, yes. Watt is the unit for power. And last step, because we found the voltage drop, we found the power, but they didn't ask for that. They said, what's the amount of energy that the iron is using? Because that's what you would actually pay the power company for. You don't pay them for power. You pay them for energy that you use. So how much energy are we using here? So let's use PET to solve this. And so I'm going to use P equals delta E times T. Now, I already know the P, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write in, I'm not going to write P, I'm going to write my 500 watts from earlier. So there's my 500 watts in a beautiful orange. And let's switch back to our purple. We're going to solve for delta E. So that's going to be just a delta E. And the change in time is 40 seconds. Now to solve for delta E, I'm dividing on the right by 40 seconds. So I need to multiply by 40 seconds and do the same thing to both sides of the equation. So, I need to give myself some space. Let's get rid of this arrow. Bye, arrow. And 40 seconds. Then I lost my little box. So there's box. Box is back. Now I need to do 40 times 500. And I don't know 40 times 500, but I do know 4 times 5. So let's see if we can do this without a calculator. 4 times 5, 20. And so I have 20. Oh, I'm still writing in my highlighter. So I have 20. And it wasn't 4 times 5, it's 40 times 500. So 4 times 10 is 40. So 20 times 10, I'll add another 0 for that. That's 200. And then 5 times 10 is 500. So then let's bump that up by 100 times larger and put on 2 more zeros. And so I end up with 20,000. Now the unit for electricity, as we saw in our previous video, was joules, named after James Joule. And so I shall put a capital J for the joules. And that is my delta E. And I'm going to box that up because I'm so proud of it. That was a lot of work. And there's my little arrow to connect those steps. So there's all my work for that. I've written my equations, I've written my substitutions, and then I've written the answer with the units 3 different times to finally arrive at how much energy that iron is using. Okay, now if you can follow that example, you're going to be able to do like number 37, as you can see here, you can pause the video. I'm using PIV, then I'm putting in the power to find an amount of energy again in joules, and that is steps like right here. That's the same as steps 2 and 3 there. You know, so if I numbered them 1, 2, 3, it's the same as steps 2 and 3 using PIV and then PET. And then number 38, we're going to just need PET directly. It's an easier question. 39 and 40, 38 and 39 are actually the same question, just written with different, slightly different wording. And then number 40, we're going to use PET directly. So it just gives you that practice with P equals delta E over delta T. All right, well, that is that. Here are all of the answers to those questions that we just did, and you can just pause the video and steal these answers. Whoops, it's floating around. Okay. All right, so my physicist, you need to do these 40 questions except for number 2. You don't have to do number 2, as we talked about. And thank you so much for hanging out with me here. This was the Science Hutch. I was the Hutch, and more importantly, this was the Science and Electric Circuits. You're the physicist, so happy physicsing. Keep on trucking at that math.
I can change the world by being a scientist.